Hey, what is up guys, Massive here, back to do another video, and today I've got a sick game on Tiki Turmoil. I just casted a game versus Senna on the same map. It was the same matchup, but it turned out to not be the game I wanted to cast. Anyways, this is the right one. I've selected the right game to cast this time. I'm going to be playing as the Master Kane, and this game was very intense. I'm going to use one word to describe it. It was intense. MoK versus Marked of Kane. So it is a MoK mirror. Both of us don't have laser capacitor Scorpion tanks, which makes the late game rather interesting. It's not just Scorpion tank spam like it is for vanilla Nod. Blackhand mirrors can be pretty entertaining too to watch later on. I know they were frantically quite boring years ago due to it just being all-ins, but with the advent of decent laser turrets as well as quad turrets being a thing, and people have just figured out how to defend better in 2024. All-ins aren't as prevalent as they once were. You can do much more than that, and the matchup tends to be pretty good as the game progresses. Pretty skill intensive, the Nod mirrors. I remember Technique in Spectre in 2012 used to describe Nod mirrors as the first player who misses a bike split loses the match, and I've always remembered him saying that for some reason, and I think it's true. If you are playing a Nod mirror and you lose your opponent, if you miss your opponent splitting off some bikes and killing a harvester of yours, that generally is the game winning move. I'm gonna anti-scout this raider buggy. I do have a bunch of bikes out. By the way, speaking of Technique, I do still chat to him on a frequent basis, though not about Kane's Wrath. Most recently we were talking about the newest releases, PC games. But yeah, these bikes are coming into play. I'm going to take some swipes at this harvester. I should get it. I want to make sure I don't DPS down my own bikes. But with that Scorpion tank out of his and me not getting the harvester, I'm going to be severely behind. I've got two bikes. He kills one of them. Doesn't overspend. The shredder turret's there for me to tank just to bait shots, which is pretty useful for him. But I've got my bikes on hold fire stuns, which is what you should do as well if you are controlling attack bikes, because every shot counts, especially versus enemy bikes where you need to get all 4 missiles on the enemy to kill them. Doing some micro here to maybe kill this Scorpion tank. Maybe if I had approached this tank from the rear to get that plus 50% damage through the use of the rear armor damage mechanic, then yeah, that could have been better for me. But the Scorpion tank will force my 2 bikes to retreat. One of them does fall. I got a bit greedy there. I had to take some risk considering I was very behind. I've got 6 and 2 on my main. Now that's a decent ratio in 1.2 plus due to the harvesters no longer bugging like they used to. In the vanilla version of the game, harvesters would bug constantly, and it was always recommended for you to have 5 and 2, that being 5 harvesters, 2 refineries. Any more than that and there would be the chance of your harvesters dancing around at the entrance of your ref, so when they're trying to dock they won't, they just dance around there and not dock. You guys probably know what I'm talking about. Going for that second War Factory. I'm a bit paranoid that he's doing the same thing. It looks to be the case, but I do land a nice EMP there, which is going to allow me to defend without taking so many losses, which is crucial if I'm being hit by 2 factories. I've got 3 bikes. I'm targeting a buggy when instead I need to be going for those bikes. Those are really the damage dealers here. Buggies have so much rocket damage armor, and I'm getting hit here non-stop. Senna is applying so much pressure. The action has not ceased since the beginning of this match, and I'm looking to be in a bad situation here, but EMP's coming in clutch. I'm selling off those shredder turrets. I'm even deploying a shredder turret to bait some shots from those attack bikes. And I managed to hold despite being behind from that early game bike rush, which didn't achieve anything really. I lost a bike and I didn't kill a harvester, so he should be really ahead of me even after the unsuccessful attack bike raid that he just did there. He's still going to have a nice advantage over me, and there's another wave of units coming my way. I'm building a Hand of Nod to capture the defensive towers. My thinking here was he'd be busy trying to kill my bike buggy. This would give my engineer the opportunity to maybe grab these defensive towers. I'm going to get the cybernetic leg upgrade 2 as well. I can also get tip infusion, which is a good upgrade to purchase in a knob mirror. You can place rockets in Tiberium fields and they won't take tip exposure. They move faster as well, which is key to defending your base off versus fast moving units such as attack bikes. But I do have a 2-pronged attack incoming. I knew I was playing well today. 2-pronged attacks are very indicative of that. More bike buggy, which is the cornerstone of any nod offense. Lots of bike buggy all over the map. But sadly, one of those bike buggy groups will be cleaned up. I'm not going to kill a harvester, and he's going to destroy most, if not all, of those units. My harvester taking some damage at the blue field. That's going to go down. I'm going to see if I can intercept those bikes whilst they make a retreat. I'm going for his base with these bikes. Lots of attacks happening at the same exact time. I'm going to meet his bike buggy at the blue field. I'm using a line formation here so my bikes don't take splash damage. That's a mistake that many players make, Green Zero included. That's why he always used to lose pitballs, because he never used line formation. He always got them splashed by Tipcore bikes, which was his fault. And now I'm going for a defensive strategy that you rarely see. I'm going for a deployed wreck, and I'm even going to research Dozer Blades. Well, maybe not, because I don't have any Scorpion attacks on the map, so it probably doesn't make sense. Those defensive towers beginning to pay off now, and since I've captured both of them, he's going to have to sack a lot of those bikes to destroy them. 2 or 3 of them failed, but it was way worth the cost of the engineer. Another Reckoner coming in, and we see that the Dozer upgrade is grayed out. So I don't have that, unfortunately, but this Reckoner is still going to be hard to kill, especially with my bikes reinforcing in here. And since he's got an MCV deployed in this location, I've set up a good foothold for an offense. Building up avatars now. And we're going to look to click his base. If those bikes find themselves to be on the Tiberium field, I can click them. I got one of the refineries with my catalyst missile. This Reckoner is holding strong in that position for now. This is not 1.03 where Reckoners can be put in carryalls. No, in this patch, just like vanilla, you can only deploy them, and once they're deployed, they can fire. But if they're not deployed, you can't shoot from them. They act as transports, but nothing more. They've got 2 transport slots, which is a cool thing about them. I'm going to evac these squads. Maybe I can get a kill on this Scorpion tank. 2 avatars out for me. I've got charged particle beams on the way. My idea here is to set up some base defenses and reclaim the avatar husks. The fallen avatar husk can be reclaimed with the cybernetic leg saboteurs that I can build. Since I've purchased cybernetic legs, I can reclaim those husks quickly too. Maybe what I can do here as well is build a disruption tower, which will stealth those husks. But it's a really good way to increase the effectiveness of your offense. Just bring along an MCV. It provides you with the option to place shredder turrets and reclaim husks. That's the 2 main reasons for this. Plus you can build AA turrets if you find yourself to be against a lot of aircraft. But yeah, Senna's expansion is now taking a lot of damage. I'm going to EMP 2 of those harvesters. They should both fall. So that was a decent hit from me. And look at the EMPs coming down on those Scorpion tanks. I'm trying to deal with them in the best way possible. Some quad turret shredders coming down. Those are going to just thin out the Scorpion tank HP. They're going to make it easier to destroy the tanks. Also nullifies any awakened of his own. I've got lots, as you can see. Even a tip trooper there as well, which I got from my sold off building. I'm going to do something here that you rarely ever see, and that is to equip an avatar with an attack bike. This is good in 1.2 plus because the radius of the avatar to detect stealth units has been increased by 50%, so it is almost like having an attack bike, but it's way more durable. So having the avatar with the stealth detection is going to be better at this stage in time. You're not going to need to invest in a ton of Venoms or a ton of bikes, which ultimately don't serve much use when it comes down to heavy tier 3 fights. I reckon they're going to hold the line just for a little bit. That has the Dozer Blade upgrade, so it's going to tank a lot of damage. That's plus 30% armor, but even with that plus 30% armor, it's going to fall relatively quickly. Scorpion tanks with plus 20% Dozer Blades also can withstand a Obelisk of Light shot, which they can in 1.02. So all things do balance out in the end. He did some attack damage onto me. I took out his third. He's setting up a third on my third. I see his refineries are based not too far apart, so they can be double clicked. But since I used that not long ago, I'm gonna have to wait a bit longer before it's available for me to use again. I'm making a transition now to Venoms, since he doesn't have any anti-aircraft. And I think those can be effective, especially versus these Scorpion tanks, which have very fast maneuverability. They're very maneuverable. I finally set up my second ref on my expansion field. Reckon with an engineer inside of it, I'm going to attempt to capture his tier 3 with that. Would be nice if I could deny his clicks. I think I spaced my refs out a bit better, so I'm going to be safe from getting double clicked. At most, he'll get one there, but I definitely have it on my mind, seeing those refineries together like they are. But that army of his is massive, and I've only got 10 Venoms out, which is not nearly enough to make the Venoms worthwhile. He's going to build a response quickly to them. At most, I'm going to pick off 1 or 2 tanks. I still maintain control of one defensive tower. There's no EMP control center on this map, only defensive towers and tip spikes to capture when neutral structures are concerned. C-type room is available to be used once again, and now Senna has to deal with these Venoms. I reckon Asali does get found out, and he's going to take that one out there, which is unfortunate. And this game is going to keep on going. It's not nearly over just yet. I'm going to double click this refinery, and now I'm going to get hit in my expansion tip field. I have nothing but one avatar to defend that expansion off, but it's going to be tricky now since I have to allocate forces not only to defending my expansion but also my main, since he has an army of tanks there taking out my tech. My tier 3 falls. I mistakenly used magnetic mines on those Scorpion tanks, but he has Dozer Blades, so it doesn't matter. He can just avoid it. You can see nowadays the tanks don't even show mag mines when the tanks run over them with Dozer Blades. Before it looked like they were taking damage, but they really weren't. I fixed that. It was a visual bug. Venom's though doing a lot of work for me, thinning out those Scorpion tanks. Bikes coming in as well does take out a couple of my Venoms. He left an avatar husk for me to capture. I'm back to tier 2 once again since he destroyed my tier 3. I've only got Venoms. I can go for Scorpions. I've got Dozer Blades, and I'm going to choose to do just that. He's rebuilt his refineries on his third, and he has a significant army advantage over me, and I'm going to be reduced to tier 1. So yeah, at this point, it is obvious that I need to go for Scorpion tanks and Scorpion tanks alone. Now I have to be wary of the possibility of him having a secondary strike force on the right-hand side to attack me, much like how he did a minute ago. I'm using micro here to target those tanks down that are almost dead. And when I said in the beginning of this match that this game was going to be tense, I don't think you guys can really argue. It so far has been really intense to watch, and during play it was also pretty crazy. Now I did just do a technique there with my Venoms. They're all receiving repairs nearby that air tower. The way I've got them all to bunch up is by force firing the ground. This means all the Venoms can be stacked together like you see, and it just makes it so one singular air tower can heal them up rather than you having to build multiple. It improves the efficiency a lot more. Redberry comes in for scouting, probably to one-click me. We know he has tier 3. I'm building mine. I need to get that back up online because I don't want to spend all my remaining Tiberium on Scorpion tanks. Because if he goes into tech and builds up avatars, then he'll be much more cost effective than me. And at this point in time, with both of us having similar assets, we have to be as cost effective as possible. The one thing I still have over him right now are these Venoms, which he has just not been able to counter. He's going for bike buggy spam, but it is not working out for him. He can go maybe for tip core, but I'm trying to utilize these Venoms before, or if he gets that upgrade, because then that would really make them not worthwhile for me. Another attack coming in here, bike buggy and Scorpion tanks. I simply don't have the forces to contend with it, so my base will be overwhelmed, but in the meantime, I am taking out his base. There's a bunch of units there of his to respond to this, but with the avatars there, it's going to be very hard for him. Venom's doing what they can. He's got SAM turrets though, so I have to be careful with them. I'm just finding any target that I can take out that is reinforcing to that location. I'm also looking to build up defenses in my base where the Tiberium is, because if I can do that, I can keep on producing units. I still have double war factory there. Another obelisk comes down. I'm going to quickly EMP that. I see no need to keep this operation center around if I'm just spamming Scorpion tanks. And this is a very hectic fight here, but I am taking out those tanks slowly. Power grid is now offline, and now I'm reduced to just the one base. He has all three of his bases still around, and I'm probably not even going to be able to destroy this one. Another wave of units heading my way. That shredded turret will force him back. He simply does not have what it takes to take out my base. And with the Venoms I see not a lot of anti-aircraft there. His bikes and buggies were reduced significantly. So I'm going to target down those Scorps that are in the red. Paying attention to the buggies so they don't kill a bunch of the Venoms and rank up. And they rank up very quickly, being a $500 unit. Some ranks on my Venoms now. I should definitely get those back to base for repairs, but I want to capitalize at the same time his lack of anti-aircraft. So even if the Venoms are close to death, it still makes sense to capitalize while he has no answer to them. I like how he has sent his army to his expansion, which makes it possible for my avatars to engage and take out the tanks. That's the one thing going for me right now. I have an avatar or two, which are very good when they can shoot the enemy tanks, but on a large open map such as this, it's hard to get the opportunity to, unless you force your opponent into a do or die situation. If it's a base trade situation, then maybe he will choose to defend it. In that case, the Scorpion tanks will have to engage the avatars. But yeah, very good against avatars, the Scorpion tanks. But if the avatars get up to like 5 or 6 in numbers, then it becomes the other way around. It's very awkward. Sometimes you can kill Scorpion tanks with the avatars, and then sometimes you can kill the avatars with the Scorpion tanks. It all depends on whether the tanks are in huge numbers, and the concave as well. Avatars, much like the tanks, can take rear damage. Positioning is so important. Now I've built a number of my own tanks here. I should definitely consider an attack soon, considering my Tiberium is running out. I built another MCV instead of deploying with an outpost. I've been relying on outposts lately to expand, but I don't think it's worth it since the radius, the build radius that they have isn't sufficient. Plus, in large scale games like this, you don't want to have an exposed outpost that is easily taken out by a Scorpion tank army. If I had used an outpost here, he probably would have suicided in for the outpost and denied this expansion, so the MCV was definitely the right play. And once again, these Venoms are going to force back those tanks. Enlightened and Tip Troopers and Awakened there for him too. Nobody builds Tip Troopers deliberately in Knob Mirrors. They only build them they only get them through selling structures like operation centers or their tier 3s. Now I see that Senna doesn't have any tech units, so I'm going to capitalize on this opportunity. He may have a Redeemer on the way, so I'm going to hit him before he likely gets an epic unit out. Heroic Venom for me too, but I can't engage into his base. There's just way too many turrets. Now the good thing about the Venoms is that they are a present threat, which means he isn't queuing anti-infantry defenses. He isn't queuing anti-vehicle defenses. He's still continuing to build those SAM turrets, even though the Venoms aren't engaging him. So I don't have to use my aircraft for them to have an effect on the battlefield. And there's not much left to resist these Scorpion tanks, so Senna is just going to throw in the towel and say GG. But I thought that was a really tense game there. Those Venoms came in clutch. They saved me. There's no doubt about that. Without the Venoms, I would have lost that game. And I got a nice double click off on those refineries he had together. I don't know if that was the killer blow, considering he took out my base at the same time that had happened. And if you look at the resource graph, he maintained an eco advantage towards the end. We were both neck and neck throughout. I should have been a bit more behind at the start of the game, considering I had went for that bike rush, but nevertheless, lots of action in that one. 21 minutes, almost non-stop, and I don't think you guys could have told the winner until the very end. Anyways, hope you all enjoyed that one. If you did, don't forget to smash the like button. I really do appreciate that. And before I go, I'd like to thank my Patreon members for continuing to support me and my channel and everything I do. Anyways, guys, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video. Peace out.